Oh, I don't know what happened to my intro music, but hello. So excited to be here. Let me remove this. Not sure what happened there. Jen Mar here, Soulful Prosperity Coach. I'm very excited to be doing this pop up mindset reset, and I am going to be talking today about imposter syndrome. And this term is one of those words that I avoided for such a long time because it's very trendy, and it wasn't just something I resonated with because I spent most of my life with a very outward confidence. So much so, like I put on this persona that I didn't even realize that I was suffering from imposter syndrome. And so until a few years ago, I had this big business blow up breakup, which many of you probably heard me talk about. And it forced me into a situation where I had to really get to work with all of the tools, strategies, rituals, routines that I have been doing for so long to build up this emotional stamina and go full in on my coaching business. But I had resistance. I had fear. I had doubts. I was still carrying around shame and, all those limiting beliefs, which was kind of shocking to me. Now, don't get me wrong. I had built up enough emotional stamina to get up, move right forward, do exactly what I needed to do. But I'm still carrying these backpacks full of boulders with all of these limiting beliefs, doubts, and so on that were holding me back. And I'm still working through many of it. And so that moment in my life was really such a blessing. And I was able to begin to realize that my imposter syndrome showed up in my life as the need to prove my worth to everyone. I had so much shame, so much self doubt, that I was truly inspired and motivated by the need to prove that I'm this amazing person, right? This is what I now coined as my shadow why. Now, look, I had a pretty beautiful life. I have two amazing daughters. I did the best I could in the time, under the circumstances, always loved them deeply. I had an amazing real estate career, but I defaulted into that career due to a lack of options, or so I believed. I labeled myself as uneducated and not able to do anything else. So I defaulted, right? We don't want to default into things. I defaulted into this real estate career, and I am so grateful to that career. I spent nearly 28 years in that career, and it gave me some financial stability, the ability to raise my daughters, and so many valuable lessons and skill sets and experiences and best friends and family. But it didn't light me up. I would defaulted into it and then just immediately became this version of me that was out to prove that I was amazing to everybody but myself. So that big event and that realization and that self-discovery started to enable me to reflect on my truest desires and my purpose and the answer to the question, who am I? Why am I here? And then I discovered shadow work. Now, shadow work is something that I discovered many, many years ago. Probably like 30, 40 years ago, when I was at the lowest point in my life. I read a book called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie Ford. It helped me tremendously, but I never embodied the work. I never implemented the work. And so when this happened, this business blow up happened, I started unearthing these patterns, and they made me like so aggravated, so frustrated. Like, how could I have been doing all this personal development, all of these, workshops, this, that, meditating every day, chanting, journaling, all these things. And I'm still having, allowing people to trigger me, allowing, still moments of depression and anxiety or whatever. It made me crazy. And so I realized that you have to get to a place where you are not afraid to unearth the patterns and choices and the thinking that is holding you back. You must face it. You must acknowledge it. You must appreciate it so that you can then begin to understand who you are and why you are here. And one of the things I've realized is that we're trying to do everything with our minds and our hearts and our gut, right? These are our thinking parts of this human body that we're in. But when you are not tapped into the highest version of yourself, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, we are making this life experience so much more difficult because we're not tapped into our greatest resource, which is really us and who we are. And so being afraid to look at the parts of yourselves that you consider dark or not perfect or not beautiful or not sexy or not smart or all those things, and you try to hide and deny, which is what I was doing for so long, you literally are holding yourself back. And so when you can begin to tap into this highest version of yourself, which, by the way, includes all of those parts of you that you deem unworthy. And the root of all of this is unworthiness. And so while I did realize that a lot of this was early life influences, it probably came from ancestors. Didn't have a lot of money as a child. I really didn't have role models. I didn't understand that I could go to college. I didn't have any wealthy people in my life, in my family, except for like best friends. So I was, that child who was hanging out with people who had a lot of money, and I didn't. And it planted a seed that I guess I was not worthy. Feelings of inadequacy due to it, and then shifting my way into social circles that empowered a more self-destructive type behavior. And so many people are still doing this as adults, right? We can't be there doing that with them, so I'll be here doing this with them. And that's not to say that someone's above you or someone's beneath you. But if your truest desire is to do that, then why aren't you doing it? It's really that simple as making the choice and learning to drive your life in that direction. And now I don't say this from a seat of an easy life. Even right now, today, I mean, the last 3 weeks were so difficult and so challenging. But you know what? In the last 3 weeks, when this latest curveball was thrown at me, I've made one of the best choices I've ever made in my entire life. I have made a commitment to only do things that make me feel good, to only do things that bring me joy, that make me happy, and give me that freedom that I absolutely love. And if you know anything about me, you will know that in my 20s, I was addicted to drugs and was living on the streets. But there was such a freedom involved with that. Not condoning it or saying anybody should ever do that. I've gone through some serious trauma as a result of those choices and decisions. But freedom is what I have always been yearning for. So, overcoming limiting beliefs, developing a belief in being worthy of success and higher education. And so I did end up going back to college, and then I dropped out again because my daughter was pregnant and my granddaughter was coming. Best decision ever, because I have a full life. I have no regrets about not going to college. I'm glad that I went for that brief time because I realized I'm good. But yet I spend the bulk of my day in higher education, surrounded by different courses, different books, different workshops, different philosophies, and different theories. And so I am now attracting that life that I did not believe that I was worthy of, and making that decision. Hello, Carlos. Making that decision to begin to walk the path. of my truest desires, right? So, and also learning the importance of learning the understanding of the root causes of triggers and emotions and those deep feelings of unworthiness. There was a great long period of time I didn't even think I was lovable. And then we get to a place where we need to begin to identify at and align our truest desires with our values and our virtues. What are your values and your virtues? It's really hard to overcome imposter syndrome and feeling of unworthiness if you haven't identified the simple things. And identifying your values and your virtues is going to help you to tap into that highest version of yourself, to tap into your seat of consciousness, to tap into a place. And I'm telling you right now that almost anybody in my shoes in the last few years would not feel loved, supported. And I do. And it just comes from within, and it comes from the action. It comes from the consistency of just showing up and knowing, getting to a place where I know what the next best thing is, what the next right thing is, and making a commitment to only doing things that light up my soul as a result of what's happened to me in the last 3 weeks. It's just such a beautiful place to be. Right? Not running away and hiding and playing victim or doing any of those things. And so to get into a place of self-discovery, you're going to want to make sure that you are taking time and reflecting on what you don't want so you can begin to clarify your true desires. And I'm going to debunk the myth of to never have any regrets. If you are using regrets to have clarity to exactly what you don't want and use it as motivation towards your goals of your truest desires, and now you have the clarity and the motivation. So regret is only not good if we are ruminating over and over on our mistakes and what we should have done and any of that. No. And so when I get into that space, I try to replace that with what did that best scenario look like? You know, if I did that perfectly, if I said that perfectly, and this happened perfectly, what does it look like? And that's what I envision in my mind. So imposter syndrome is something that I have met some of the highest level CEOs in the country, and they oftentimes will talk to you about that they have those feelings. They'll get up in front of an audience and all of a sudden say, why am I here? If these people only knew, and blah, 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 blah. Like maybe I had a huge fight with my husband or my wife before I came out here and said things that weren't perfect. And now I'm out on the stage. This happens to everybody. And so being able to own it and take the parts of ourselves that where we aren't perfect and acknowledging them, taking away the power, because how much power are we giving things when we are ruminating and beating ourselves up and shoulda and woulda and coulda, if only. Getting out of the land of I have to do this. Not a place I want to go back to ever again. I don't ever want to have to do anything. I want to be in a place of where this is what I get to do in order to become the person that I want to be. But I spent over 28 years in my career or as my adult life really focused and worried about what I had to do and who I needed to be and what I had to have. This afternoon, I took my 3:00 call out on the lake, kayaking. And while it's been a little stressful and I'm doing well, making great money in my new coaching business and all that, there's still a lot of financial chaos from this big unearthing I had a few years ago, and my husband's health and different things. And so you could very easily slip into that space. And I'm on a lake at 3 o'clock on a whatever day today is. I think it's Thursday. It is absolutely gorgeous out. The water is just spectacular. There's beautiful ducks and birds surrounding me everywhere. And how could I believe that I am anything but worthy? That I have anything less than beautiful abundance and prosperity and joy and freedom. And so when we are so worried about what our life is supposed to look like and what we're supposed to have and what we're supposed to be, that we are missing out on all the joy, all the beauty, all the miracles, all of it, all of it. So a mindset reset is a tool that I use very, very often, twice a day at least, so that I can tap into that highest version of myself. I can be that best version of myself. I can tap into the universe and I can feel loved and supported no matter what. And you know what? A lot of what goes on in my life in the last few years is because I so much forced the reality of being Superwoman, being the fixer and helping everybody and doing for everybody else but myself. Well, of course, that's going to implode. So this helps me tap into the best version of myself, right? Visualizing a life that aligns with my truest values and brings me some fulfillment. Embracing my worthiness, taking small steps towards what I call soulful prosperity. I mean, so many people are like, hey, Jen, if you were just like business coach, it would be so much simpler. Well, you know what? I'm not here to be business coach. I am here to help people tap into this highest and best version of yourself. And through that, gain joy, freedom, and prosperity. I just happen to have a lot of friends that are business owners in a lot of my sphere, right? So we're going to get comfortable and we're going to do a little meditation and visualization. I really, really encourage you to just take this few minutes for yourself. Get comfortable wherever you are. You can be in a chair, you can be lying down, you can be on a business chair, whatever, wherever you are. Turn off the TV, 10 minutes, I promise. All right, Jose, if you can cue up the music, please. And begin by sitting comfortably. Just start to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths where we are inhaling through our nose and exhaling through your mouth. And just allowing yourself to settle into this moment, letting go of any distractions or tension. Take this time and dedicate it to you and your journey of self-discovery, soulful prosperity, and eliminating imposter syndrome. And just focus on your breath, feeling the rise and fall of your chest with each inhale and exhale. And whatever position you're in, begin to imagine roots growing from your feet into the earth, grounding and connecting you to this very present moment. And with each breath, become more centered and calm. And let's set an intention for this meditation. Silently say to yourself or out loud, I am here to discover my true desires, nourish my soul, and embrace my worthiness. I am here to discover my true desires, nourish my soul, and embrace my worthiness. Begin to think about moments in your life where you felt driven by external expectations, recalling times where you sought validation from others. And without judgment, observe these memories and how they made you feel. Just begin to acknowledge the patterns and emotions that arise. Begin to consider the concept of the shadow why, the underlying reasons for your actions, driven by a need to prove your worth. And just reflect on how this has influenced your choices and contributed to your feelings of imposter syndrome. And allow yourself to recognize these patterns and gently release them. Be brave. Take an honest look, an honest inventory. Just let these reflections settle. Focus on your breath, feeling the peace that comes with each inhale and exhale. Now begin to shift your focus to what you truly want in life. What you want, free from external influences, free from what your parents, your family expects, your coworkers, your boss, anybody. Ask yourself, what do I desire that aligns with my values and my virtues? How do I become the person of my dreams? What makes my soul feel nourished and fulfilled? Just allow these thoughts to come. And imagining yourself living a life that reflects these true desires. Visualize the activities, the people, and the surroundings that bring you joy and fulfillment. And just envision yourself embracing these elements with a sense of worthiness and purpose, free from the grip of imposter syndrome, free from stress and anxiety and fear. Silently repeat or out loud. I am worthy of my deepest desires. I embrace my true self with love and acceptance. I trust in my journey towards soulful prosperity. I release all feelings of imposter syndrome. I am worthy of my deepest desires. I embrace my true self with love and acceptance, and I trust in my journey towards soulful prosperity. I release all feelings of imposter syndrome. Just feel the truth of these words resonate within you as you just focus on your breath. Just take a moment on how you can begin to bring these desires into your life on a daily basis. How can you align yourself and your actions with your true desires and your values and your virtues, trusting in the process and knowing that you are worthy and just take a moment to thank yourself for this time of self-discovery and reflection. Slowly begin to bring your awareness back to this present moment. Begin to open your eyes, move around a little bit. It was a pretty short meditation I got to plug in here. But I will be releasing a version of this, which will be about 15 minutes long, something that is just an opening to the tools and the routines and the rituals that are going to make a big difference in your life in helping you to feel worthy. And I'm not just talking about people, I'm going to get to these comments. I'm not just talking about people who are struggling. I'm talking about all of us. It's rare that you meet a person who has tapped into their entire potential, their entire potentiality for everything and anything that they desire. And so no matter where you are at, if you have made all kinds of money and all kinds of things, there's still more. And they're not more in a material way. There's more in how you experience life and how you show up and how you love and how you live and how you experience joy no matter what. And so it's super important. I thought I saw, here we go. Oops. All right, some simple practices to help me snap out of it. Could have, should have, would have type of moon. Dealing with any feelings of regret when taking a break. So you have to decide what experience you want to have in this life. And so I would imagine if you can help yourself get to the place where you don't feel, you're not in that coulda, shoulda, woulda. Like I said earlier, one of the tools that I use is when I feel like I should have done things differently, I just focus on what that looks like, right? Oh, okay, I fell short here. I didn't do this well. What does it look like if I had done everything perfect? And I allow that to replay in my head over and over so that I've taken the lessons. We're gonna fail. We're gonna mess up. We're gonna say stupid things. We're gonna do stupid things. We're gonna, disappoint people. We're gonna hurt people. We're going to do all of those things. So just taking that moment and figuring out what is the lesson in this and what does it look like when I get it perfect? And it may take you many times. And dealing with feelings of regret when taking a break, well, you get to decide. This is your life. This is your experience. I'm not sure what taking a break means for you, but if it means like going on vacation or doing things like that, well, that's your choice and your decision. Like if you choose that you want to go away and you want to have a good time, then that's what you will do. So, but you have to make that choice to let the rest go, right? And to show up and do whatever you may need to do on this break, right? Maybe if you're talking about taking time off, you plan ahead what you want to maybe do. Listen, I'm a workaholic entrepreneur in a good way. I love what I do. So when I go away, you can say whatever you want, but when I go away, I work almost every day, just a little bit. But the parts that bring me joy, the parts that I love, not in some crazy fanatic, like everything's going to get effed up. I usually pick different projects that are a little more creative or a little more exciting, right? And work on them when I'm taking a break. I hope that helped. I don't really see much else as far as questions, but I'm super grateful. I do have options thank you, Golden King Couture. If shadow work, which is the most impactful work that I have ever done, if that's something that you're interested in, I do have a program which I will put here. I do have a program that is very affordable, includes one-on-one coaching, and it also is done through an online library, so you can do the bulk of it at your own pace. Very impactful, life-changing, but also you can go ahead and you can read Dark Side of the Light Chasers. You can read, there's other books. Carl Jung is the psychiatrist, I guess he is, that coined the shadow work and did that work. So reading almost any of his stuff. But I encourage you, if you are struggling with imposter syndrome, and guess what? Being afraid to take a break, woulda, coulda, shoulda, is all imposter syndrome. Because if we really, really, really understand who we are, and love who we are, and we're aligned with who we are, then you're not going to feel that way. You're going to understand that you deserve and you are worthy of a break, and you deserve the room to make mistakes and to do things wrong. And as long as, that's where I was vibrating at that moment. And now I'm vibrating at a higher level and I'm doing better. All of that comes from that not feeling worthy and what I call imposter syndrome. So take a look at that link there. Check it out. If this is something you would like support with or one-on-one, check out Dark Side of the Light Chasers, but I highly encourage you to explore. And I'm going to be doing a few things on imposter syndrome and shadow work on my next few pop-up mindset resets. I'm so grateful. Oh, I'm so glad that was helpful. I love you. That's my daughter. So I'll see you soon. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Empower Hour. I think it's jennifermara.com/empowered. We have Yolanda Taylor is going to be teaching us about building success through style. And as somebody who's kind of in between styles right now, like I've become a freaking hippie. Hello. That just cracks me up. I'm super excited. She's somebody who has helped me tremendously, figure out what kind of look I need to have now. And she yells at me half the time because I'm wearing some really weird things, but I'm excited for this. So if you are building a brand, this is a really, really important part. So I hope to see you tomorrow. I hope we see you soon on the next Mindset Reset. I love you all. Bless you. Have a great night.